I'm Andrea Goeglein, and this is another edition of Conversations. And with me today is, I'm only going to give her title as one of my dearest friends, Dr. Cortney Warren. And I am going to allow her to actually tell you how fabulous she really is. Cortney, welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. You are so generous.
Tell us a little bit about who you are, your credentials, and what you're working on.
Sure. Well, my name is Dr. Cortney Warren, and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I'm also a researcher and a consultant, and I do a lot of speaking. And right now, I am doing a lot of work on personal development, relationships, how to date, because I'm writing a book on love addiction.
I love, and that I have got to tell you, your focus on that work and your knowing that the seeds of that work probably came forward back in 2014 when you did that fabulous, authentic TEDx presentation on self-deception. I mean, am I right that that's where it kind of the impetus of where you are today?
Definitely. I mean, I didn't have any awareness at the time of how much giving that talk would change my life professionally. I also used myself in relationships as an example of self-deception.
Right.
And I also did not predict that that would lead people to ask me so many questions about romantic love and relationships.
Yep.
So here I am now, really trying to respond to some of those questions in ways that hopefully will help people to live more authentic lives and have better dating experiences and romantic relationships moving forward.
Which is exactly why we're here today, because you published an article recently on Psychology Today entitled, "Why Having Too Many Choices Makes It Hard to Find Love." And I will make sure the link to that article is in this when it gets published. But tell us about that. Why does it get so hard?
You know, the crux of the human condition really is our ability to make choices, right? It's part of what separates us from being animals, that we can critically think about what we're doing and then respond in a very deliberate way. And that's amazing. Having lots of choices enables us to really get more of what we really want, because we change our lives by the choices we make. But something that a lot of people may not know about is that there is a paradox in choice. And there is a famous researcher, Dr. Schwartz, who wrote a book on this. And it's really a fascinating topic. Yeah. And one of the things that happens when we have too many choices is we have a really hard time making.
And I will, I have to be clear. We're talking right now, and this is what so struck me about your article, about on all of the dating sites, all of the ways that I can now potentially meet someone if I'm in the market to do that.
Yes.
That you think would be this wonderful, oh, wow, you don't have to do bars anymore. You can do this.
And you get online, and the first thing you have to do is pick a site. What kind of site do you want? Do you want Tinder? Do you want something more like Grindr? Do you want Match.com, eHarmony? What kind of relationship are you looking for? How are you going to select one? Then once you finally pick one, you have to create a profile. What are you going to say about yourself? What pictures are you going to post? How do you want to come across? Who are you? Who do you wish you were? Are you going to put anything bad about yourself in there? Is it just going to be And at some point when we have too many choices like that, what happens? Most people just like throw up their hands and get paralyzed. Then after you've actually created the profile and picked the site, you're looking through thousands and thousands of people's profiles and images and swipe left and swipe right. And am I interested in this person? That can be incredibly overwhelming to people.
I've got to say that I have had the privilege of never having to use one of those sites. But I had a friend, well, all of my single friends, of every age. I mean, it is the online sites for dating is definitely the generational merger. Everyone does it, no matter, I don't care. I think there's one called Silver Singles. I mean, everyone does it, but this one man said something years ago that always stuck with me. He was reading a woman's profile who we mutually knew, who had dinged him or donged him or did something to him. And when he read the profile out loud, he said, and I won't use all of the curse words that he said, but what he basically said was, she doesn't want to go out with a guy. She wants to date her best girlfriend. And I thought, how true.
Mhm.
Like these profiles were almost like, let me think of everything imaginable I ever want in a human being to satisfy every need I have ever had.
Yeah.
In one person.
Yeah.
And one who I want to mate with. Wow, I was exhausted. Exhausted.
And your example actually points to another thing that happens when we have too much choice, which is that when we actually pick someone, we have very high expectations. Because if there are thousands of people to choose from, as your friend was saying, one of them has to be this perfect person. One of them
Right.
has to by everything that I want about a mate. I have to be sexually attracted to them. They have to be smart. They have to have the same value system I have. It's going to be this perfect match, right? Because there are
Yep.
so many, one of them must be right. And of course, that's just not true ever. And so what ends up happening is you are less satisfied with
Yeah.
what you, because
Absolutely.
you must have made the wrong choice.
Well, and you know, that's the thing. I must say that I have actually been in conversation with many, more than one single peer of late.
Okay.
And what I caught was that particular habit that they were judging themselves as to whether or not they had been successful or not successful, as to whether or not a relationship bloomed, versus me thinking, oh, I thought you're supposed to go out with different people and in order to know if something works. Like, how come, because it's an algorithm helping you make this choice, all of a sudden it's supposed to be perfect straight out of the box, when you don't know about all that other stuff? Like, are they being truthful? Like, is it there? One of the very first relationships I had with online dating was when someone 20 years ago was telling me about their profile, and I went and read it, and they had themselves as 5'4",
Mhm.
and this person was 4'11". And I do not know this person to not be a truthful person, but to your core work about self-deception,
Mhm.
wow, that was really a phenomenal lesson for me. Yeah.
There are so many ways we lie to ourselves. You and I talk about this. And certainly when you're posting information online, it's really easy to skirt the truth and portray yourself in the way that you want to be. And of course, when you're dating, in many ways, you do want to put your best foot forward. And I understand that. I don't actually want to judge that. Like, trying to be your best self because you want to meet someone.
Mm-hmm.
The side of that is, if you're not being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
whomever you meet or who meets you doesn't really have the opportunity to get to know the real person.
Right.
And so but that a relationship that's meaningful is going to come from a starting place that's hiding or trying to negate some of the negative things about you, or just things that are true of you that aren't even negative, but maybe else isn't going to want or like, then you're not a good fit anyway.
Right.
So you try to be yourself, and it helps to have some awareness that choice overload really is a thing, that you really can get overwhelmed by having too many choices. So that you can remind yourself of that. And
so tell me how, so I'm a person, I am going to use the site. Tell me what kind of process I could use to narrow down that choice, because the research that you're talking about, I had the privilege of also experiencing in my positive psychology training, when we had to go to a grocery store and stand in front of all the jams on the shelf and record what it feels like to look at so many jars of jam and whether or not you were even able to make a choice, even though you know what you like. when you go to the store. I mean, you either like marmalade or you don't. You either like strawberry preserves or you don't. You already have some information, but you stand in front of like shelves and it's like, which one?
Which one is better?
So how do we narrow that down when it comes to online dating?
What I would say is you really just have to start. So stop second guessing every decision. Pick an online dating site. Do your best to present yourself as honestly as you can. Pick a nice picture that actually looks like you. And talk about what you really like and who you are. And then see if you can find people that sound interesting to you. And if you do, give it a shot. Don't be thinking constantly when you're interacting with them, oh, I can't date this person because they're clearly not right for me in this way. Automatically going to cut them off because the next person would be better. Anytime you catch yourself thinking, ooh, I picked wrong, another person will be better, I would just pause. It doesn't mean the person is right for you, but you don't want to write people off because you think there's somebody out there who is perfect. That's when your expectation is, oh, one of these people would be ideal for me. I think that that's actually going to thwart your ability to enjoy the journey of dating itself.
Yeah. I think your point about narrow it down, even to start, just start with one. Don't start with even 3 or 4. Like, although I think like an eHarmony has a different purpose than a Tinder. Is that correct? I mean, being naive to the sites.
And if there's something that you really care about, like your age or a religious orientation, like JDate, like there are organizations or websites.
Yeah, Christian singles, or there's one.
So, if there's something that really matters to you, totally reasonable, start there. But then just start and have some experiences, because the reality, Andrea, is we learn the most about ourselves in experiences.
Absolutely.
And allow yourself to just go for it. Put up a profile, try something, and then see what happens. And don't constantly be thinking that you made the wrong choice. Try to enjoy the experience for what it is, even if it's not a love connection.
I think that's a beautiful place for us to stop. Just enjoy. I think if more people judged whether or not they were headed towards the right direction by being aware of how does this make me feel, even engaging in it, that's like such an incredible piece of information. So before we close, I would love for you to give everyone your website, which I will have in the links below, but please tell them where they can find more information about you and the work that you do.
Absolutely. drcortney.com. So it's Dr. Cortney, CORTNEY.com.
Beautiful. And Cortney, there is never a time that you and I get to spend this time together that it is not a pure joy for me. I love the work that you do. I love the direction it's going in. And I feel very privileged to get to do these types of things with you. So thank you today for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I'm Andrea Goeglein. Please look up Dr. Cortney Warren's work. I think there is so much of it that you can benefit from, starting with her TEDx talk, which I will also make sure is linked in this. So thank you until next time when we have a new conversation. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.